Hey everybody, it's Alex Miller at Capneon here. What does LLM stand for? There's lawyer bloggers out there that are starting to joke that it stands for Large Libel Model. I'm going to talk about a specific court case. I picked this one out in particular because it underscores it may be impactful in the 10,000 lawsuits that are coming that these landmark AI companies are all incorporated in kind of funny ways. And I'll point some of this out. But let me give some backstory first. There's a gentleman, a radio host in the state of Georgia named Mark Walters. He is a Second Amendment advocate. Apparently, another Second Amendment advocate, as part of a program facing the public, was playing around with ChatGPT. And ChatGPT hallucinated, which is this sort of shop term for made something up. It hallucinated that this fellow Mark Walters had embezzled a bunch of money from another gun rights advocacy organization, which I guess is something Mark Walters did really not like to have on his brand. And because this was part of some public facing program, a lot of people saw it. So Mark Walters is suing OpenAI. Your robot slandered me, and well, who am I going to sue but you, the people that made it? So right here you can see there's already this kind of problem that an AI can't be legally responsible for things. And there's a lot of things we would like to do with these tools that we can't do, or we can't do in a straightforward way because, well, who's really responsible for what happens? So OpenAI is getting sued. One thing I want to point out about this particular case as it's evolving that I think is really interesting is that it's an example of where it's become important how OpenAI is incorporated. It's been covered elsewhere. I always point out Elon Musk complained about it. If you don't trust me, he's very famous. OpenAI is an unusual situation where they used to be a not-for-profit, and after a while, that didn't work for them, so they are now a for-profit, excuse me, a not-for-profit with a for-profit subsidiary. So even, I think, saying it aloud, I kind of turn myself in knots, and that's not a great situation. A really common thing in legal wrangling is, well, OpenAI is getting sued in the state of Georgia and it wanted to move the case to federal court. So you might have read elsewhere that Mark Meadows, Trump's former chief of staff, was in some very similar court proceedings, also in the state of Georgia recently, and it didn't work out for him. But it is very common, well, where's this case actually going to happen? OpenAI, the for-profit entity, is an LLC, so there's a particular legal procedure that determines when you should move something from state court to federal court, and involves who the owners are. And then one of the owners, of course, is also this not-for-profit. And this particular case involved disclosing basically all of the members of this LLC, all of the people and organizations that had a stake in OpenAI, and then also potentially, their parents. And this particular phase, OpenAI's request failed because they didn't, in the end, want to produce enough information, or they couldn't. I'm not sure, to satisfy the judge to move this request through. I don't know everything about why OpenAI does things, but I believe one of the original reasons they got leery of being a not-for-profit, among other more obvious ones, is that it required a lot of disclosure about finances of who they were paying and how. And so this is maybe disappointing for them because, once again, you're peering pretty deep into, the owners and the owners' owners. And that's kind of a headache. To provide some contrast here, for a long time, basically everybody in Silicon Valley, as I understand it, would incorporate as Delaware C Corporation. And lots of your favorite gigantic publicly traded companies are all Delaware C corporations. So one, it's just, if this is what everybody does, there's this term rocket docket. Everybody knows how lawsuits should work. But then you can imagine if, a C corporation is a standard thing of like you own stock, like that's sort of what an everyday person imagines when they think about a corporation. It wouldn't play out this way where you would be revealing the identity of every single stockholder. And, for a really big company, it couldn't work that way. So I don't want to make a huge deal out of these incorporation things, but it's a very legally problematic area of machine learning, artificial intelligence already. And then there's this funny extra wrinkle where the parties to the lawsuits are not the kind of parties to lawsuits that Silicon Valley is really used to. And that's going to provide an extra layer of drama. So it's something to watch, and I think you should be concerned potentially about, well, this is a very powerful technology, but I'm not going to build it all in my house for myself. I've got to buy it from one of these handful of companies that have really got the tech, and uh, they're all in a lot of weird lawsuits and are going to be for a long time.